So I'll call a health and safety meeting to order. First thing is public comment. I don't see any public to comment. Second call for public comment. Third and final call for public comment. Next on the agenda, consider placing minutes of July 22nd meeting on file.
I'll make a motion to put the minutes from July on file.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Motion carries. Nuisance complaints.
Okay, well, the first one, maybe Tom can, has an update on what's going on there.
You're got me at a disadvantage. I honestly don't have the sheet in front of me. What's the address?
Outside.
Logan Avenue.
Oh, that, we're obviously still in the court system, shall we say. Substantial and acceptable work has been done on that, but not completed. Judge Corbett last week extended, don't hold me to this please, but the orders until sometime in the spring, so they will continue to work on the project. The progress is being made.
Okay. Okay, then the next one is East Main Street. That one, Darren says is almost complete, so he's giving it a little more time because the guy is working on it. Then the next three on Cotter, those are pretty much taken care of. We've been baiting there, and there's much improvement. But it's going to be a 6 month to a year process. Okay. And then the 208 North Cleveland is not completed, but there's nobody living there, so Darren's giving them time to work on it as long as they don't rent it out. And the last one, I don't know, that one Darren is taking care of, and I see there's a court date for mid-October, 603 South Foster. Can you update on that, Tom?
At this point, the defendant hasn't appeared, hasn't called us yet, so we'll report after that.
Okay. That's it.
All right. Discuss and consider approving the vouchers.
I'll make a motion to approve for discussion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I have one for, it would be October 17th, 2024. The snow blower, is a 28-inch snow blower that was purchased. I see it was purchased at Greeby's. Did any of our local businesses have that same opportunity before we go to Wausau? I'm just asking.
No, that's a fair question. So we started this process last spring after the snow. We recognized our line staff had a preference to use a walk behind to get kind of in front of the station. There was a need for that. So we started shopping around. We reached out to the most known small engine place in town on the east side there, tried working with him for several months, never got anything back. So during the summer, we were trying to find, into the fall, we were trying to find some from last year discounted prices. So I'm not sure. I'll be honest, I didn't check with Tractor Supply, I didn't check with Ace because I don't know if they carried them when we were looking at that point. So reached out to Greeby's, and they were able to offer us a closeout on a model that we were interested in.
I was able to make 2 phone calls a day in 10 minutes and found out if they don't have them, they can order them. Ace Hardware, who pays considerable property taxes, sells them $15.49 starting. Tractor Supply top model is $17.99, and that hood is universal. It's $150 a piece. So I was 10 minutes worth of phone calls, and they said if they don't have them on the floor, they can order them within a week. So I am also disappointed in that purchase.
And then I noticed there's a couple of things, American Inn, a couple different stays, and I know you guys go through a lot of conferences and stuff, but it seemed like there was a double billing or.
I think we have about 3 months worth of vouchers. That's why it looks pretty heavy.
I know,
Yeah.
but it was on one sheet.
Okay.
There was 174.55, and then another one that was 107.76 cents. And then there was a 53.88 times 2. So I don't know, I just was asking about that. I don't know.
You know any about those?
Yeah, so I mean, unless you have the specific one you're looking at, I mean, just in general from our department, this year we've had a great year with our staff reaching out and providing numerous training requests. So obviously with those training requests, anything out of town usually entails some sort of lodging and costs that go with that. So there's been some bigger conferences that the staff have been to. Like I said, unless you want me to check specific into that.
It was between, what's between there was NOAC's conference at Chula Vista for 384.88. And I imagine there was more than just Mr. Nowak, there was other.
Yeah,
other
that was the
firemen.
recent one. I think they just got back from the
Okay.
State Fire Inspectors Conference there.
Yeah, I just.
3 days, 3 nights probably.
Yeah. Okay,
In those conferences, they set the room
Yeah,
rates.
I know.
Typically, they try to negotiate those. We should be tax exempt. So,
That was just something that sort of stuck out. There was an air mattress too, August 16th.
yeah, the air mattress one looks deceiving because
857.
you think like air mattress for your house, but those likely are the back rafts, I think is what it
was on
actually
sup-
is.
It was a supply item.
It goes on the longboard for ambulance calls. It's an inflatable pillow, essentially. So maybe I think just in the terming of it, air mattress looks deceiving. We do not have any air mattresses at the station that I know of. So.
Not for the camper?
No, I don't think so.
Those are the only questions I had.
I have none.
All right.
Alderman White's covered my concerns.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. General agenda items for consideration, discussion on the rural fire contract. I know that was brought up during the budget, and I guess I figured we'd kind of bring that up here as a discussion, whether we want to forward that on PNF to I don't know so much as poke the bear again or get that started to bring that up with the municipalities again.
I guess we can ask the poker when was the last time we poked them.
Yeah.
15?
No,
No, I think it was later than that.
it was.
I want
I came back in 2018.
I was gonna
I
say.
think we started knowing the contract was going to expire in 2019, so I think it was around
4
2019.
years or so, things expected to middle after that.
There was a slight increase in 2020
There
over
was a gentleman from
2019.
Wausau
Which I
represented
think was part
at
of.
least one of the townships in Ijamsburg, probably all of them, and we have not heard from him.
Yeah, there's been some changes at the town level for sure since this was brought up years ago.
I'm not sure the town of Scott, but every other town chairmans are both gone.
Scott's different too.
Okay, so all three have changed.
We
Okay.
have Ron Lemmer in town of Scott, Mike Haas in the town of Merrill, and Mike
Vanderweer.
Vanderweerd in town of Rock Falls. So they're all three. Actually, and Ron Lemmer he actually participated in the strategic plan of the fire department, so he was active in that.
I don't know if this has to go to P&F. I think this is one of those things that which committee is going to decide it. Well, the one that you're best friends with. I think it would not hurt for this committee to direct the city attorney to write letters to these three chair people, and we can forward to P&F from there, and eventually it'll end up there at the committee of the whole.
You all right, just let me reach out to the town chairs and indicate
Yep.
if they'd like to sit down and discuss the contract.
I mean, this contract is expired. I mean, I don't think they'd sit, I don't know. I do, go back to those pool fills and all that. For us to do anything extra in those townships, and we absolutely have to do, would be our minimums, because why should we? I mean, if they're not going to sit down and negotiate in good faith. And again, pools are under the water. But any other, I don't know, I don't think we really do too much other stuff. You have to fire inspections, can't get away with that.
Yeah. And the other thing, I know you don't want to hear this, but since this contract expired, we also have one less staff member too.
Mhm.
So they could make the argument from the town perspective that they're getting less in their contract now too. So I don't know if we want to, that's why I said if it makes sense internally to game plan how we want to handle this before we just send them a letter saying, hey, we want to negotiate if we don't know what we're looking to accomplish.
Well, I mean, I think we know what we're looking to accomplish as far as strategy. That would go to closed session. But I mean, to at least get them on their radar screen would not hurt.
And the other one I think I mentioned in the previous, working with previous administrator and Tom and Kathy and the mayor, was strategically too, like I said, going after potentially the ambulance contract, and that contract hasn't been renegotiated since 2008, and they have potentially a bigger pot of money, or they have a different mechanism for recouping that cost when 90% of what we do is EMS related. Like I said, I'm not opposed. Obviously, I'll do whatever this committee and the city directs me to do and work on, but I just, like I said, what's our strategy want to be for accomplishing it? Are we going after this for the sake of more money? Are we looking at it to better the service? Like what, you know what I mean? What's the end game for us too?
Keep up with inflation.
Right.
I guess as far as the county, I wouldn't go to them and ask for a bag of nickels right now. I don't envy the position they're in budget-wise, so I would just leave that to Steve.
And you're right, and that's kind of what we elected not to do. We did go through the formal process of sending them notification. We sat down. They've had significant change in their county leadership since that time as well, and the thought process was we'll wait till Pinecrest is resolved and then maybe look at it then. But that's where, like I said, the county has the best tool as far as the tax levy exemption for countywide ambulance service since that time too. And talking a little bit with Rod and the mayor is, the strategy moving forward too is there are other entities that have looked at a fee adoption, which then opens up the non-for-profits and stuff like that, similar to what we did with hydrant rentals and water utilities and those type of things too, is then they're paying for the actual service. Even if you could make the case even with the hospital and what they pay or don't pay, the amount for taxes and the services that they get from the city. So there's definitely a lot of different ways we could go about this and consider different ways to keep up with inflation or, make changes in the service we're providing. So I don't think the rural fire contract alone is going to be it, but at some point, I guess, we got to start somewhere.
How would you determine the charges on various services? Are there comparables to our community serving other townships?
Yeah, it's all over the map. It really is on the formula, and I honestly can't even tell you anymore that contract and the contract before how they got there. If it was
that was a result of Riley, Penner, and Benton.
Well, there was also we used to have to give them a 5-year average of fire calls in their town. I know the SAFER model that they use in Rib Mountain Weston incorporates equalized value, population, inspectable properties. So there's a ton of different ways, to go about it. So, unfortunately, like I said, that contract, the one, at least in the rural fire contract, like I said, it was just looking at inflation, essentially just kind of keeping up with stuff, but there wasn't really anything in there as far as hey, how do we go back and take a closer look? How do we know how these numbers were determined? I don't know.
Tomahawk has contracts with their rural townships. Some they charge by the call. And they're paying pennies on the dollars. I mean, we think we're looking at bad numbers. Those guys get nothing up there. And they're covering some big areas and some big expensive homes, and they ain't paying anything. And then they have a fire call in a certain township, and the town chairman calls up and bitches at them for being on the scene too long because I'm paying by the dollar and telling them to get out of there. So, I mean, we don't have it good, but we have it better than some others. So,
Right.
And I would say probably, historically one of the most similar departments at one time that you could compare us to is probably Ashland, because Ashland, although they're not a county-wide and county-owned ambulance service, they did have a contract for ambulance. They have rural fire contract, so they obviously have a municipal portion of it too. So, kind of how we're comprised is a little bit unique. in our funding mechanism, but like I said, there's a bunch of different ways of going about it now, and that's, and especially when you look at different agencies, districts across the state, they're all struggling for funding at times and staffing. So that's why there's different, like I said, methods out there. I know at state chiefs level, they've been looking at trying to pursue emergency response districts that would have a taxable authority. That hasn't materialized as of yet. So, like I said, it's kind of a pretty, open can of worms right now of how we want to try to go about it.
I don't know, we don't necessarily need a motion or anything for this, Tom.
Together, and we'll put something together for the town chair.
Okay.
I have a question on, can we move on? Question on the community night out. How did that go this year?
Good. Yep.
And you did a ladder surrender
Yep.
kind of thing? And how it,
Yeah, I don't know which. Well, let's see. It should have been probably in the August
Yeah.
August report. There is, this year, new this year, working with some local entities, we're able to have a ladder safety buyback program that was accomplished at community night. That was the first time for that. People could bring a used ladder in. We took that ladder, disposed of it, and then working with Ace Hardware and working with the Regional Trauma Advisory Committee, we're able to offer a buyback for that, where they're issued a voucher to buy a new ladder. So that was a great collaboration, I think, to try to get a safety upgrade in the community for various people.
and then I have one more question for you. The callback, the personnel. I noticed the numbers really are low the last 4 months. Is there any concern at that at all, or? I mean, 60, in the 60%, I mean,
Yeah, it's always
I know it's summer vacations and stuff, but it seems like it's.
Yep, it's always a concern. In particular, probably some of the family medical leave, illness, injury, combination of all of those coming in there. One of the things, don't get me wrong, I think, we talked as a department-wide, we think all the callbacks are obviously important, but for us, it's most important to make sure that we're always meeting the minimum daily staffing, which
Well,
is
you do
currently
meet
at
the
5.
minimum, at least.
What's that?
You are meeting the minimum.
Yes, yeah. So we're still making sure, but we also recognize that this summer, past few months, we've had a few more what we've called ordered in, where typically if we're going to drop below 5 through the various methods we have for notifying the staff, it's not done on a voluntary basis. There'll be a list. We go through it. Hey, Corey, can you work? Nope. Rod, can you work? Nope. Gus, can you work? Yep, I can come in. Okay. So on a voluntary basis, I think we're doing pretty well compared to most departments. And knowing that we've still had to force, we've had to go down that list. People keep saying no. Hey, Bob, sorry, you're the new guy. You're coming in. You got to come in and work. So we've been overall good, but knowing that, we're kind of sometimes up against that burnout potentially too, we want to make sure that we're at least getting the daily minimum callbacks in. And sometimes the sacrifice to that is fewer people coming in. They're not required to carry a pager, so to speak. Nobody's paid to be on call. So we do rely on that. And like I said, a host of factors. And yeah, it's concerning, but we're doing the best we can, I guess.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll keep on Chief Klug for his monthly report. Reports, plural.
Corey, I think on the agenda they should have had you go to break this up.
I'm just gonna say, if you have
It's
any
like-
questions, let me know, 'cause we've got 3 months here,
Oh yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, obviously thinking back all the way back to July, a few of the significant events kind of PR related. August was some more PR events. We did have a couple structure fires back then. The one on Genesee Street was a pretty significant one at the time. Unknown people were trapped. We had good bystander and assistance from the PD on that one. because a couple people were treated for smoke inhalation. That was one, I think, at the time, too. There was probably a lot of chatter in the community on the number of departments that were there. That was a result of the MABUS, Mutual Aid Box Alarm System, where we pull resources from one or two, and sometimes they come from further away, so it looks maybe worse in the eyes of the community because, oh my gosh, we had to call somebody from Anago. But that's how that system is designed to work. Small stovetop fire in the town of Merrill. We did have one up on South End Road in Rock Falls. And a couple other community night out ones, a couple PR ones. And then, let's see, September was the parade. We had the press release and media blitz for the 2% dues check that was done at the fire station. That check presentation was done there. We did have then too a national recognition of a gold helmet fire department, indicating that at least 50% of our members went through a cancer registry program. And we did host a 2-day National Fire Academy Incident Safety Officer Training. That was something that was overdue as well. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions or comments.
Gus, you got anything?
Thank you.
Moving on to Chief Bennett.
The last 3 months' reports are attached. If you have any questions, fire away. I will add that
I have
the-
a question
Yep,
on
go ahead.
homeless population in Merrill. What is the homeless population?
We do not track that at the police
Oh, you
department.
don't?
Nope.
Okay. Is there a concern of them being around, or?
The ones that concern me the most are the registered sex offenders on probation
Okay.
that are allowed to roam.
Okay.
There's some work going on between coordinating with probation and parole, as well as the task force that's assembled itself. And I think there's some effort being put into finding them employment, which then,
So that was what the meeting was about?
it's about a number of things, but I think for those individuals that are on the top of my radar,
Yeah.
I
No,
think they're
that's-
getting some assistance in finding
Yep.
employment right now.
Yep.
And hopefully that, I don't know if we'll be able to fix that for all of them, but
Yeah.
that would lead to a positive outcome, hopefully. The rest are typically transient, that are coming in and out of the community based off of a resource that they perceive is here. It's probably not here. They usually don't stick around too long.
Thank you.
The CVR transactions, I was going to bring that up. That program is back up and running. The state has changed the regulations on what can be charged for that now. We were kind of locked into this very specific formula, and our portion was decreasing and decreasing over time, as you can see by these reports. That has changed now. So our fees are changing. It's going to be $15 for renewals, $30 for new titles, and we should capture a larger percentage of those transactions moving forward.
Which is a kiosk charge for that.
I don't know.
It's crazy.
People do it because they just don't want to do it. They come to our office and they want someone to walk into it or walk them through it, and they'll pay the fee. So as long as they're going to pay the fee, we will charge them.
Are you overcharging yourself out of business though?
What's that?
I mean, it's like when they could raise a cigarette license from $25 to $100. Well, let's do it to $100, and everybody dropped their cigarette license.
The problem was these other entities that we're required to go through are the ones taking the larger share, more and more and more and more. And at least we should cover our costs somewhat going forward, you know. So I think you can actually increase a new title up to 38 now, if I'm correct. But we'll see. If we have to adjust, we'll adjust. If it's decreasing in total numbers, we'll take a look at that in the future. Right now, it was falling off because unavailability of the program. That's all I got.
Any luck on deer hunting in town?
We have a number of people registered for we've identified 5 zones. We're trying to limit it to 3 people in each zone. That's city property. Not, this doesn't count private property, just city property. We're trying to limit it to 3 people at a time so they can be successful. All of them are full. I haven't got any reports back of kills or anything like that, but I might have to hunt that down myself later on. Yeah.
Okay.
We have a waiting list too. There's people on the waiting list to get into them, so that's a good sign.
Easy tab is $9.95 for the record.
It's been that way for a long time, but people kept coming to our front counter, so.
All right, nobody here from the Humane Society, so we'll move on to placing reports on file.
I'll make a motion to put the reports on file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let me get back to the top here. Time and date, I believe, is next. What time is that, Lori?
It's the November and December meetings. The Monday before Thanksgiving would be November 25th, and December 23rd is the Monday before Christmas Eve.
We wanna
Normally, in
just
the
do a
past, it's
call the
kind of a
chair?
call of the chair.
Everybody okay with that? Call the chair?
I would like to see us meet in November at least. I don't know if we figure something out. I don't want to go 3 months again without a meeting,
Okay.
especially when there's stuff we should be paying close attention to and different, we're,
So Monday, you want to do the
it's up
25th?
to the chair. I'm just giving my 2 cents.
Okay.
I'd prefer the
Um,
18th.
18th of November?
That's fine. That's before deer season, right?
I don't know when transit is. Oh, but they'd be done, because they were done at 4. Yep.
I would
So move it
prefer
to
the
November 18th?
And in December, we'll do call the chair.
Okay. That works.
Look for a
Motion adjourned.
to adjourn.
Motion.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.